Hello, everyone. I'm here with Tony again. Hi, Tony.
Hello.
So, Tony, what we finished doing, or what did we just finish doing this week? Or what did we just finish doing?
I think we've finished watching the most epic episode of Doctor Who yet. And I'm not being sarcastic.
Epic. Okay, yeah, it was epic. I was gonna more kind of phrase it as, what the hell did I just watch? But yeah, epic.
Chris, what did you just watch? Let's start with that.
I just watched a fucking talking frog on Doctor Who. And not a good talking frog either, a bad animated talking frog.
Chris, I don't believe as a Star Wars fan you didn't recognize this. This was a reincarnation of Yoda.
No, I like Yoda. I didn't. The talking frog looks stupid. Yoda was a puppet.
So was the frog.
Was
Can't you see the parallel here?
No, I think it looked more like a bad CGI. I don't know what the hell was the frog doing there. Why do we have a talking frog in fucking Doctor Who now?
Well, let's start from the beginning.
Okay. Oh yeah, you have notes.
Yes. Let's just do a quick summary of the episode as usual. Why were they in Norway?
I don't think they said why they were there. They may have, but I missed it. But the whole kind of getting into the situation is pretty much glanced over the series anyway. So we'll just go with they were just there. I'm sure there's a one-liner in there somewhere that we missed.
Yeah, so I think they just show up in Norway. It's 2018, and there's that sexist cabin that Chris referred in his other previous video, and inside they find a girl who's blind for no reason, but we'll get to that later. And she says that her dad's gone missing, and then there's a monster that comes around every so often, and I guess scares her. So naturally the Doctor and the team are concerned, and they try to investigate. The monsters show up, so they go inside and barricade everything. In the meantime, they discover a mirror in the attic, which apparently is a portal to another dimension. So they go through the portal, and Ryan is supposed to babysit the girl, while Dr. Yaz and Graham venture into the portal. They meet some weird dude who kind of
looked like a Romulan.
Yeah, I think that's what he looked like. They didn't really explain who he was. He was
from Remus.
Yeah, it was just briefly said that he's always been there. So it's explained that this is a pocket dimension that shows up when there's something really, really bad trying to get into our universe, I think. And there's like moths and giant red tomato balloons. Anyway, they make their way through that and they discover another mirror. They fall through that, and that's another, I guess, parallel universe. That's what they assume. Inside they find the dad of the little girl and the mom that was supposed to be dead. So the dad is being a great dad by abandoning the girl. I mean, what else are we going to expect from the BBC, right? It's an absent father figure again.
Okay, so just halting the summary for a second. Okay. So, Tony, what demographic does this young man wearing the Slayer shirt represent?
That's a good question, Chris.
Yeah, could it be the same as, say, I don't know, Law and Order dude? So what's our morality tale this week? Because this poor guy got shit on.
Yeah, he certainly did. Oh my god, yeah. The father figure, I think we're going to return to that, because that was very interesting.
So we're going to go away from that segue. Okay, Tony, continue on with our summary of this masterpiece of shit.
Oh my god. So anyway, so the guy's like, oh my god, my daughter's going to be fine. I just want to be here with my wife. And the doctor's like, nah, you can't do that. That's not good. In the meantime, Graham walks off and finds his deceased wife all fine and dandy. I honestly forgot her name because she was just such a forgettable character. But anyway, then the Doctor has a epiphany where apparently this parallel universe is just like another universe that's conscious and that was there before time, and I'm really not sure what it is. I'll have to rewatch the episode as usual because the explanation didn't make any sense. And so the universe, I guess, because it's conscious, is also looking for a companion or for love, but it can't hold more than one person from the real universe. So now when there's like 5 people, like the Dr. Graham, Yaz, and that dude, that Norwegian dude, it's falling apart. So they have to get back. And it was all really confusing, and I think the Doctor basically, at one point, had like a total, erotic conversation with that universe. And it was weird, and then the universe turned into a frog. And then the Doctor wanted to become friends with the universe. And then the frog pushed the Doctor back through the portal into the real universe. And that was it. Chris, I think I nailed it. I think this is my best summary yet.
That is a good summary. A summary of shit. Yeah. So, which aspect do we want to rip apart first?
Okay, well, the first thing is I hate how they set up stories.
You mean how they don't set up stories?
Yes, how they don't set up stories.
Well, they just a throwaway line, oh, we're here, and every time they're there, wackiness ensues.
Yeah, they don't even try. They don't even use that whole thing that, oh, TARDIS just puts us in the wrong thing. And speaking of the TARDIS, I haven't seen the TARDIS, the inside of the TARDIS, that is, at all.
I think we've seen it like twice, maybe 3 times. Of course, we do remember that the police box is triggering now because it's a police thing.
I'm triggered because the inside looks like there's just a bunch of dicks. There's just crystal dicks there.
Maybe it got censored. Maybe they realized what it was. And then no more TARDIS. Oh no. I miss the old TARDIS.
Yeah. So yeah, the lack of the story setup is really, just...
Oh, but going back on the TARDIS, could be a budget thing, because in season 26, when the show had no budget left, aside from one brief scene, you only ever saw the TARDIS from the outside, because all that was left of the TARDIS was basically like a couple walls that were beat to hell, that even when they showed it once, it had to be really dark, because it was just, like, fucked. So maybe that's what the story is here. Maybe just that their budget TARDIS fell apart.
I don't know, but they basically had a TARDIS set already built. They just had to change a few things.
Oh, they changed them.
Oh, yeah, they sure did. But, yeah, I mean, it's just weird. But, yeah, the Doctor just drops in and boom, there's no setup, there's no nothing. We're just thrust into the story, which for some episodes I think would have worked. But if that's happening every single episode, I don't think that's a good thing.
It's, well, again, it's just lazy writing. Now, Chibnall himself did not write this one. It was written by Ed Heim, who I think had written a play or something. But keep in mind, Chibnall is obviously coming up with the concepts and script editing this, so everything that happens basically goes through his approval. So we could still blame him. But yes, there's no setup. They're just there, and then wackiness ensues, and they meet the scary cabin. In Norway.
In Norway, that's that. Alright, so what happened next, Chris?
Okay, so we're in the cabin. Then we go in, then we look at the cabin. Then we meet Deaf Girl. Do we want to go into that next?
Yeah, what's up with the girl being deaf? Was there any reason for that?
I think it was worked into the plot briefly. I think at the end when she could tell that it wasn't her mother. Maybe she was doing it through, I don't know, scent or...
Oh, no. That's never actually explained.
Yeah, no, it's just thrown in there. But obviously it's, well, lazy writing. Maybe that's where they were thinking to go. But...
Yeah, she was just randomly blind. I mean, I drew the parallel between... Remember that deaf girl from... Below the Lake? Or Under the Lake, sorry. And that actually played into the story very well, and it was really good, and the chase scenes were very, very scary, actually, with the lack of sound and everything, so it worked very, very well. Whereas here, it was just like Ryan's dyspraxia. It's just
they had to throw in a disability for the sake of throwing in a disability. I'm pretty sure that the actress was probably blind. But yeah, it's basically, if it's a way that serves the story, I'm all for it. It's like what we were saying in Under the Lake and Before the Flood. but if it doesn't serve a story and it's just there because it had to be there because of the quota list, I'm like, if you were going to do that, then just at least find some creative way of introducing it rather than it just being there.
Well, let's not forget, Chris, we have to be inclusive, right? People with disability. You did mention that her acting was atrocious, and I agreed with you on that. But I think we have to be careful because, I don't know, like, it's nice that they tried to include a person with a disability, but this might seem a little bit harsh, but I'm a believer that, you know, we all have our limitations. That whole theory of, you know, us, we can do whatever we want, that's just bullshit. I'll never become an astronaut, no matter how hard I try. Like, that's just not gonna happen. I'll never be a pilot because my vision is shit. And that's just things you have to deal with. And I'm sorry, but, like, if you have a certain disability, you have to accept the fact that you won't be able to do certain things in life. It doesn't mean you have to stop trying or trying to achieve stuff. It's just you need to understand your limitations and work within that.
It's like I would have loved to have been a cop. Right? I would have loved to have been a cop, but my knees are screwed. They've always been screwed, and my back is fucked. So I just accept that I can't be a cop, and I just do other things, which these days is ranting on the internet.
Yeah, you make us sound like just completely fucked up individuals, Chris.
Yeah, no, we are. We are. We're terrible people. Tony, have you read the comments on my channel?
Oh, I have. I mean, a lot of them are actually positive, so thank you for the support, by the way.
Yes,
You're
those
awesome.
those that say nice things, but they're the other people, which I laugh at, and the wonderful people that make all these nice little videos about me. I'm making a collage. My talking goat is going to introduce it. We're gonna have a fun time.
Yeah. So, I mean, the acting of that girl was atrocious. It was absolutely terrible, and I don't think it's really her fault. It's just unfortunate. So, too bad. But she sucked.
Well, I feel bad because she was thrown into a situation that obviously, she probably shouldn't have been thrown into it. It's like the child actor in Fear Her. Like, it's the worst performance probably in New Who. But I don't blame the kid. I'm like, you shouldn't have put the kid there in the first place. And then it just becomes a laughingstock. So in something like this, when you're looking at being diverse and inclusive, this is not helping. This is, you're opening people up to ridicule. And, that's not
Oh, no,
cool.
that's the thing. We're not allowed to criticize people with disability. That's another thing that's, if as soon as you have somebody with a disability or somebody who's special, you're not allowed to say anything about it.
Or it's like Ryan and his disability, which has been mentioned. Has it even been mentioned since the first episode?
Yeah, I think it's been mentioned in Kerblam, and they did nothing with it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like basically it's introduced because it had to be introduced, but they didn't actually do anything with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you have to have these things in there, you could at least try some creative something. Like, they could have maybe based an episode around it, but no, it's just there because little checklist.
Yeah. Let's talk about the dad for a bit. Because I think that was basically the theme of this whole episode.
So, as we started this, because I know a few people have brought up, why don't we do live reactions? We actually do record the reactions as we watch the episodes, but usually there's just not enough there to make an interesting video. But as we started the episode, my question was, okay, so we can't have an episode without there being some kind of moral message. Something that's targeted against, well, basically my demographic. And it's also one thing that I'll bring in, which makes this a lot more sense. It's basically been reported that the reason why we don't have, well, one of the many reasons why we don't have traditional villains this season is because Chibnall wanted to focus on the evil of humanity. But as we'll notice, his emphasis on the evil of humanity has always been on basically one demographic. So here we have, so I was wondering, there's going to be something this week because I think it's mandated. And so we have the single father, his wife passed away, so obviously in mourning, which the doctor basically makes fun of him for at the end. He's absent, he's ignoring his daughter, he's got his little loudspeaker out there, and is basically made to be a complete douchebag. I guess he kind of redeems himself a little bit at the end, but even the doctor was just so condescending towards him. It actually made me angry. It's like, yeah, mansplaining. Well, she was womansplaining. Big
well, let's
time.
not forget that women, of course, never do that to their kids, right? It's always the absent father, which honestly, unfortunately, is kind of true in our society. So there's a lot of absent fathers. That's true. But this is not doing anything to help it, because I don't think we have actual good role models for things like that. We don't have a positive dad figure in our culture.
Well, we've taken it away.
Yeah, we've taken it away.
But also when we look at absent fathers, and I don't have kids myself, I've got, nephews and my niece, and they're basically my kids. But over and over again, we hear the stories of the court systems themselves are highly biased towards men, and I know so many friends that have been through divorces, and it's been an absolute nightmare even trying to get custody of their kids, even trying to get visitation. So it's a very one-sided argument. I'm like, you basically, right now, the show is attacking single fathers or fathers, which is a demographic that has everything stacked against them in the first place. And this is saying we glorify single motherhood, even though it's, shall we say, some of them may have kids to play the welfare system. I would surmise that probably happens. But here we have a story where it's a single father, and he's basically... He's portrayed as deficient. He's portrayed as an asshole. He's portrayed as neglectful, deceptive. It's like basically just scum. And I'm not surprised that the show went there went in this direction. But it's basically, it's like, sorry, Chibnall, you're not looking at the evil of humanity. You're looking at what you perceive to be the evil of, well, basically your own demographic, but of course we all know you think you're better than everybody else, so it's everybody else but you. But yeah, like I said, I don't have kids, but if I had kids, I would be offended by this episode. Like, I would be probably a lot more pissed off than I am right now.
Well, let's not forget the show's not completely anti-single fatherhood. Let's remember the pregnant guy from...
Oh, Christ.
I don't remember the name of the episode, but the medical episode.
But
you know what I'm talking about.
Keep in mind, he was also being irresponsible because he wasn't sure if he wanted to keep the kid. So not only was it you should keep the kid, but it was also pushing single parenthood for people who maybe shouldn't have the kids, maybe should have the kids put up for adoption. There's nothing wrong with that, but that doesn't happen anymore. Which is one of the reasons why we have so many societal problems. I'm like, there are some people that just aren't in a position to provide for kids. So there was another message there as well. I'm like, if you're a single parent, okay, but if you specifically go on a mission to be a single parent so you can milk the system, that's not cool.
And don't get us wrong, we have tremendous respect for people who, despite the difficulties in life, are able to raise children on their own. And that is fantastic and good on you. But unfortunately, our society, for some reason, decides to promote single parenthood as the standard. And I don't think that should be, because it's a strain on everybody. It's a strain on the child. It is a strain on the parent. And I think it's just unfortunate. And again, I do have great respect for people who are able to do it on their own and, dedicate their lives to their children, but I honestly don't think that should be the standard.
Well, yeah, what we're saying is it's not an ideal to strive for. For proper social development, you need both parents. I was lucky, I guess, because I had both parents. They're both still married today, which is very uncommon in this current generation, whereas almost every friend I went to high school with, except for maybe one or two, are basically divorced, including myself. Although I guess I'm lucky in a way because I don't have kids, so I don't have to deal with that whole thing. But it's you can't portray it as just one way. If you're raised by just a father, well then it's the nurturing aspect of the mother that you're missing. If you're raised solely by your mother, then, it's the confidence building and self-discipline and things like that you might learn from your father, and vice versa. It's not an ideal to strive for, and I think the fact that Doctor Who in this episode went out of its way to basically completely disparage this single father, I think is absolutely disgusting. And we would never, ever have seen something like this if it was a single mother. So it's just, I call bullshit.
Yeah, Chris, I think we're turning into far-right misogynistic people with our views. I think we're way too conservative for 2018.
Yeah, conservative. Yeah, I know. No, we're not, Tony. We're not conservative. We're alt-right. We're Nazis.
Yeah. Oh, dang! I totally forgot. We're alt-right. You're absolutely right.
It's nobody. There's not a clear definition of alt-right. It's basically anybody that doesn't agree with the left at this point is alt-right.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, let's move on and let's talk about my favorite part, which I honestly love, and I'm definitely gonna rewatch it. The parallel universe. Let's talk about that.
It was a mirror?
No, Chris. It was a frog. With the voice of Graham's dead wife.
It was, I don't have the words.
No. And also the best part is that the frog had a hard-on for Jodie Whittaker.
Oh, I know. It was
done. Oh my god.
It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in the series, and I've said that several times this series, but they've topped it again. Just what the hell?
I didn't have enough vodka to get through this episode. It was incredible.
Well, the effects with the frog were so bad. It's like I could have done better on my tablet, on my smartphone. Like, don't they have animation programs that are more accurate than what they had there?
Yeah, I'm not sure what they were going for.
They didn't know what they were going for either.
So just for people who haven't seen the episode, essentially when they're in the parallel universe and the universe finally acknowledges that, oh yeah, I'm actually conscious and, I am like a parallel universe and I'm super cool. The Doctor requests the universe to turn into like its actual form because previously it just took the form of the Norwegian guy's wife. So suddenly we just were presented with a completely white set. Like it was just white, and there's a random chair in the middle of this, and on the chair there's a green frog, and it looked like it was a puppet. Like it was literally an animated puppet. I'm not even kidding. It was worse than Yoda from the original Star Wars series. Like, I know probably at the time it was, amazing to see Yoda, like, move like that, but, like, right now it obviously looks ridiculous.
It was 1980.
Yeah, so it looked worse than that. So there was this talking frog with the voice of Graham's dead wife, which is hilarious, and then the Doctor is having, like, a super heartfelt conversation with that frog, and... Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to get married at some point. But essentially the Doctor's like explaining, I'm your good friend and everything, and it was just so funny. I laughed so hard. I almost cried during the scene.
Yeah, it was,
What were your feelings, Chris? How did you feel?
I can summarize the comments in a tweet I put out. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll see my tweet I wrote as I was watching this. A frog, exclamation mark, question mark, all caps, a talking frog, a bunch of exclamation marks. I don't have the words. I just, it's not even a joke. I'm like, if it was a joke or maybe a comedic episode, I don't have the words.
I think somebody was definitely either hungover or on acid. 100%. That's the only explanation I can find.
Hungover would have come over with something better, even if you were high. And at least if you're going to do the frog, animate it so the lips actually just sync up with the voice.
Oh, and by the way, the reason it was the frog, because they do justify it, kind of, is because...
Oh, I was so dumbfounded by what I was watching. I don't even think I paid any attention to what they were
Well,
saying.
you see, the frog was talking with with the voice of Graham's wife. And the favorite animal of Graham's wife, the only reason I'm saying that is because I don't remember her actual name, again, but it's a frog. That's her favorite animal. So the parallel universe decided for some reason to take the form of the frog and talk with the voice of the wife, to accomplish, I'm not sure what. Yeah, I mean, halfway through the thing, I just thought that the doctor's gonna kiss the frog and it's gonna turn into a princess, which I thought was gonna be hilarious.
What else? Did we miss anything?
No, I think the frog was the best part, really. I theorized because the parallel universe, created, loved ones for the people that came into the universe. So, the Norwegian guy got his dead wife back, and Graham got his dead wife back. So I just theorized that the Doctor should have gotten one of his / her companions back.
But then, I was saying Rose.
Yeah, but then I immediately went back on that idea because I thought it was just going to be way too weird because the Doctor's a female right now.
I'm sure they would have gone that way, but I liked your idea. So what was your idea, Tony? Enlighten everyone.
Oh, I think... Is it the Yaz Clara thing?
Rory.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And then we'll go over the
I was
Clara
like, I was
thing.
going through companions, and I'm like, oh my god, everybody's just gonna be way too weird. Like, if you bring back Rose, that's just gonna be way too awkward. Same thing goes for Clara. So I was like, okay, who can we bring back for the Doctor to enjoy? And I'm like, oh, right, Rory. Rory's the man, right? So I was like, maybe the universe should have brought back Rory for the Doctor to enjoy.
Actually, here I'm about to weird out all classic series fans. The Brigadier.
Oh, no.
Okay. No, Adric.
Oh my god. Chris, how does your mind
Jamie.
go places like that?
Ian. It's like, I don't know.
You weirdo, Chris.
Yeah, no, that's actually, that was just a little bit too much.
See, I even had a better theory. Because at some point,
What, Mickey?
Oh, no, remember? Okay, so I said...
Oh, yeah, I know, so... Okay, so here's Tony's wisdom.
Yeah, I said, because the doctor was pointing the dildo at the mirror, trying to get the portal to open, because the portal is a mirror, essentially.
She does like that dildo.
Yeah, I know. And she was in the bedroom with Yaz, of course, alone. And so Yaz is like, oh my god, Doctor, you should, like, totally reverse the polarities. And I go, holy crap, it's Clara. This is Clara. So my theory is that, you know how there was rumor that the Doctor and Yaz are going to have like a romantic kind of thing happening. So I thought, because you know how Clara went off in her own TARDIS and crap, so somehow she learns how to regenerate, and she regenerated into Yaz, and she forgot who she was, so now we can hear like random quotes of Clara going through Yaz, and that will justify the Doctor's romantic interest in Yaz, because technically it's actually Clara, and oh my god, this is going to be great fanfiction, guys. Somebody pick it up, somebody ship it.
Yeah, or the other explanation is they were just trying to tie it in with the original series with the name reverse, or with the phrasing reverse the polarity, because the Third Doctor, his famous quote, which he said it multiple times, was reverse the polarity of the neutron flow. But I like your idea much better.
Yeah, I think this episode is basically forcing us to descend into madness. That's what's happening.
Well, But no, the arachnids in the UK already did that for me.
Oh, no, this is hands down the best episode. The talking frog, the parallel universe that did not make sense. They didn't even try to base it into anything. Like, the 7 grandmas that the Doctor supposedly had, it was just, right now, like, I can think of better sides. Oh god,
the 7 grandmas, I forgot about the 7 grandmas. What the hell is that? That doesn't even, like, Jesus Christ. I'm probably going to have an angry rant in my video tomorrow, but it's 7 grandmas? That doesn't even make any sense.
I just think that the grandpas...
And one grandma accused the other grandma of something?
I think the grandpas regenerated into grandmas. That was my theory.
Either that or grandma and grandpa went through the regenerations fast. Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things that was thrown in, and it's like, yeah. Well... I've got my friends at Gallifrey Place up to do our usual tradition of seeing what they're right. Oh yeah, no. First, let's see what they're rating this this work of brilliance. Okay, so you may hear tapping in the background. That's just me on my tablet. So, view results. So this one, the highest rating, is sitting at 9 out of 10. 165 people, or 16.6%, ranked it 10 out of 10. What the hell is wrong with you people? Never mind. I talked about this in my other video on the Phantom Menace effect. There are people out there that will rank any garbage 10 out of 10 just because they lack the ability to think critically. Okay, so thread titles. The ending. The ending was crap. Granddad. I don't know, something to do with grandma.
Oh, no. Remember how, this was the first episode where Ryan referred to Graham as...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It was so forgettable.
Granddad.
We forgot about it.
Oh, yeah, Granddad.
It was for no reason.
I like Graham, so...
Literally for no reason. It could have been any other episode.
But I did feel bad for Graham in this episode. He's the only good thing about this show. Him and, well, he had Ryan, and Ryan got knocked out by the door, so that was ridiculous. Oh, yeah, so here we go. So, Graham appreciation thread. Okay, I support that one. Oh, can Ed Heim please come back for Series 12? Well, he sucks, so I'm sure they'll bring him back, because this was terrible. The Frog appreciation thread. No. Comparison with Father's Day. Don't compare this shit to Father's Day. The lack of decent monsters. Well, yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, so that's the, that's my Gallifrey Place thing. So, yes, people keep rating a 10 out of 10. Anything we haven't covered yet, Tony?
I don't know. I mean, the acting, so Jodie Whittaker was terrible. Again.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, when she tries to do science fiction explanations, again, because it's written so poorly, and it's acted so poorly, it just looks absolutely horrible.
Yep.
Terrible.
Just over the top, and, well, every time she does that, it's still it's, somehow she seems to get worse every week. And the Tennant Smith impressions get worse every week. And it's basically this entire season has been like watching a slow motion train wreck, specifically when we're talking about the Doctor's performance. And I think it's going to hit during this series finale that's had no build up and no nothing, and nobody cares about it. So the series finale looks like it's being treated just like another episode. So this will be interesting.
Well, I gotta say that I have been plowing through a lot of information on the internet and actually watching a lot of YouTube videos related to Doctor Who. And I know that there's a lot of people kind of complaining about the lack of iconic monsters like the Daleks and the Cybermen. And I think that that's okay, actually. I much prefer them disappear for about 3 seasons, because...
Although come up with something good if you're going to get rid of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, the problem is that Moffat actually made them into a laughingstock. Like, they just became so non-threatening.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they have to go away for about 3 seasons, because they're... I'm sorry, like, they were just overused, and they stopped being scary.
Actually, I've got a question. Could you imagine the Daleks in a Chris Chibnall episode?
Not really, no. So I think it's better that he doesn't touch them, because he
I'm like, you think Moffat destroyed them?
Yeah, right. But another problem with that is that the monsters that we had, and I know Chris Chibnall, did he say like something that he wanted the monsters to represent like all the evil of the humanity or something like that?
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. It's basically it's kind of come up or been rumored, but yeah, the villain in this series is the evilness of man, specifically the white man, the way it's been playing out.
Yeah, so this series hasn't actually shined with great monsters, and if we look back at the Moffat era or even the Russell T Davies era, we can see almost every episode the monsters were interesting. Even in the worst episode ever, Sleep No More, the monsters were still better than, I'm sorry, what, a frog?
We'll call that formerly the worst episode.
Yeah, formerly the worst episode. There was the silence. There were the creepy doll things in one of this Matt Smith's episode. There were just so many that, and yes, some of them were better than the others, but they were all still pretty interesting and good. Throughout this series, I don't think there has been a single well, I think actually the Tooth Guy And maybe the robots from Kerblam were the best ones, really.
Well, yeah, but the robots from Kerblam were a non-issue. They weren't even villains.
I mean, they still kind of, they had the creepy factor. So there's that. And then another thing, I have watched some videos on YouTube that kind of express the love for the show and for specifically this season. And there are some videos that essentially they just disregard anything that's bad about the series. They just like it and that's it. And that's unfortunate, but I did come across a few videos which I thought were very interesting. There was one, I don't remember who made it or what channel it was, but there were a few people discussing the fact that the Doctor became a female and how this season progressed. And it was a very, very nice discussion, and it was a very positive one, so they did like Jodie Whittaker and most of the episodes. And the reason I really liked the video that they made is because they justified their opinions. They actually liked it, and they said the reasons why, and they think that the show's going to do well, and blah, 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 blah. So that is actually fantastic. I have nothing against people who like the series, but who can justify their opinion that, and they don't just like it because Jodie Whittaker is a woman. Like, they actually have reasons to like it. And I guess I'm okay with that. And I think we need...
It's not just reasons, it's actual reasons.
Yeah, exactly. It's actual reasons. And I think that's okay. I think we need more of that in the Doctor Who community right now. Is, both sides that can actually argue and not call each other, idiots. And I can agree with some of the stuff that they said, but I also disagree with the stuff that they said. But they were very civil about it. They didn't hate on the other group, aka us. And I can really respect those people, and I honestly wish that we had more people like that, because I think with that kind of discussion, we're gonna improve the show and the situation that we have right now.
Well, it's the same thing. Like when it's with most of the other side, all you have to do is say, I don't like it. Doesn't matter what your reasons are, and you're immediately the Antichrist. I'm like, if you look at my comment section, if you're going to be a dick, then yes, I'm going to call you out on that. But if somebody's going to be perfectly reasonable and, say they like the show, but they're not disparaging the other side, I'm like, I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm like, I hate this season. Same thing with 9 and 10. But if you like this, there's nothing wrong with that. You're perfectly justified. I can't control what you like. You have every right to like what you like, but you also have a right to be respectful of other people. I call people out, but I'm not attacking you because you are you. I'm attacking you because of what you do. Just an example, Jodie Whittaker, I was perfectly forgiving of her until she started attacking the fan base, and that basically nullified any sympathy I had for her.
Yeah, and I think, I was telling you, Chris, earlier before we started watching this episode that I actually rewatched some of the older Doctor Who episodes, and that would include Waters of Mars, again, my all-time favorite. I actually sat down and just watched the beginning to end, and I watched The Planet of the Dead and The Next Doctor, and, it just made me actually very, very sad, and I think a lot of people who just defend season 11 and say that, they feel a connection with the Doctor and they like it and everything. I think there's a lot of fans that came maybe in the last season of Peter Capaldi, or there are people who haven't actually seen the older episodes, like the Eccleston era and the Tennant era. I don't think they have seen how good the show can be compared to what they have right now. How can be
or how it was. Yes. Well, it's you look at all of them, like the previous 4 Doctors, even, to be honest, even Capaldi's last 2 series, like this garbage, like compare the my 3 favorite series of the show are series 1, 3, and 5. Compare this series to any of those. It's like it's no competition. Like, it isn't. It's I think Christopher Eccleston, before Peter Capaldi, probably was the strongest interpretation of the Doctor. David Tennant was the most charismatic. Matt Smith, I know we tearing apart Stephen Moffat is something that, well, we all enjoy doing now. But if you take away everything except for Season 5, and you look at Season 5, or Series 5 is absolutely brilliant. You compare that to the garbage that we have right now, which is Chibnall's first full series. I'm like, they're not even the same show. Like, they're not in the same league in terms of writing, in terms of acting, in terms of creativity. To be honest, even the visual look, like, there's no competition. Or even when you put together the clip video for last week's episode, I think even more striking when you had the episode of Tenet at the end in the Satan Pit. It's like just the contrast, just for a brief second, seeing what the show was compared to what it is now.
Oh yeah, that clip almost made me cry. It was actually kind of it was pathetic.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's like almost.
Yeah, I was editing the video and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna cry.
Well, look at Series 1. Like it had no budget back then, but it didn't matter. It was a lot of people still consider that to be the best series of the show. The one farting alien episode aside, we'll pretend that doesn't exist. But for the rest of it, I'm like, it still holds up. Now, I've watched Series 1 more times, I think, than I've watched any season in the entirety of Doctor Who. Like, my DVD set is beat to hell, because I played it so many times, and now I have the Blu-ray set. Although now I almost can't bring myself to watch it because it's hard to watch it knowing what the show eventually became. When you see the promise of 13 years ago versus the absolute dumpster fire that we have now.
Well, how are we going to rate this episode?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. No plot. Visuals were crap. Honestly, Akinola's score at this point is getting very repetitive. It's the same thing every week. I actually miss Murray Gold now. He's not getting my vote this week.
Well, we have to give 1 point for color.
Well, color and Graham and Ryan. I still like both those characters.
Okay, so how about half a point for each?
Okay, so 1. 1 out of 10.
I want to say I think I've enjoyed this episode the most out of all the episodes in the series.
Really?
Yes, the frog actually made me fall off my chair. I was laughing so hard.
Well, this was the most ludicrous.
I mean, it might have been the
alcohol,
but I'm pretty sure it was just the frog. It was so funny.
Yes, Tony's been having vodka while doing these, but that's okay. I've been having tea.
Well, I am trying to make this interesting, so...
we're getting complete... Oh, next week we're getting sloshed.
Well, I think I'm gonna rate this episode, Okay, well, definitely points for making me laugh, so I think this is gonna be a 4 out of 10. Because it was just too funny. It was hilarious. Everybody go watch it, turn off your brain, and just watch it as a comedy. Like this episode, I think, summarizes the entire series, so I think people who haven't been watching Doctor Who, please go and watch this episode, because it was just incredible.
It's Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, definitely have a beer or something, get a bunch of friends, get drunk, and watch it, and I think you'll enjoy it. It was good.
I really should have drank while watching this episode. Okay, and so, Tony and I want to do a special shout out to a friend of ours, so I'm going to turn it over to Tony. So, Tony, who are we shouting out?
Yeah, we want to say hello to our good friend Thomas, who was a longtime Doctor Who fan, and he's been supporting us as well as we are trucking through this pile of garbage. And yeah, I think he deserves a shout out from us. Hello, Thomas.
Hey, Thomas. But yes, hello, Thomas, and thank you for watching. Okay, so that's going to be it for our discussion video this week. I think it was a little bit longer than usual. So, as always, everyone, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my other channel if you like Blu-rays, games, technology, things like that. And, as always, have a great day.